From the banks of Dewey Lake, it's the Dewey Pod Monster.
Welcome back. My name is John, and this is the Dewey Pod Monster podcast. This is a weekly podcast, and it is about consumption. We are, of course, proud members of the You Run Podcast Network. You can find all of our old episodes, all of our new episodes, and all the other amazing shows on the You Run Podcast Network at yourunpodcast.com. With me this week is the host of the host of the Evil Dead, and his name is Sean. Sean, how are you doing today?
John, she came back for my money.
You just had a perfect excuse to use that stupid demon voice and shat the bed.
Oh, damn it.
John, she came back for my money.
There you go.
Is that better?
That's
Is it worth
enough.
it? Worth the wait.
That was totally worth the wait. I mean, I already spilled the beans. You probably saw the title of this episode, so we're going to talk about Evil Dead Burn in a little bit. But before we do that, Sean, what have you been watching over the last, it feels like it's been 6 years since we've recorded something, so fill me in.
It's only been about 5.5 years. So I watched a few things. You know, I look at my list every week, and I'm like, man, I got to really start watching something other than documentaries because I really love documentaries, like all types of documentaries. So this will be no huge surprise that I watched 3 different documentary style things. The first one I'm going to talk about, John, is a little movie called Burden of Dreams. And this is, I talked months ago about Werner Herzog's Fitzcarraldo starring Klaus Kinski. This is a documentary about the making of Werner Herzog's Fitzcarraldo. It is a movie that is filmed entirely in the jungle for over 4 years. It's, again, Klaus Kinski is the titular Fitzcarraldo. And the movie is about, the actual Fitzcarraldo movie is about this guy who, he's rich and he's in like Peru or South America or someplace in South America. I think it's supposed to be Peru. And he wants to have this big opera house. He wants to have this boat. And the thing is, he has to transport it over land and get all these Indians to help him, South American Indians, to help him, just digging my own hole here, to move this boat across all this land. And this movie covers the actual moving of a boat over a mile of land from one river to the next because they never came together. They have to basically transport it over a mountain. And this movie is just like, it shows you how much a labor of love making a movie like this is. There's constantly changing weather. There's constantly changing conditions. There's different Peruvian tribes who, like in general, live very small. They live in very small communities, very small settlements, and they're together for like long extended amounts of time. And they start like grating on each other. And there's one scene where these 3 women are fighting over this one man. So they have like their spouses, the Indians have their spouses and all this stuff. It's basically entire little encampments are moved in this big settlement. And they have like a missionary, this priest missionary come in, and he's like trying to explain why it's bad to have these people living together for so long in this one place. They need like their own kind of this tea that they make, and only their women can make tea for that. It's this crazy shit, right? So they live in these little settlements, and it informs you of how important prostitutes are in the making of a movie. I could have told you that. In the South American jungle. And
you could have stopped at it. It informs you at how important prostitutes are, and I would have agreed with you. But if you're going to continue, that's fine.
Well, the other thing is like an inflated soccer ball would be helpful. Like the only soccer ball they had was flat, so nobody was having any fun in this entire thing. They're stranded in the jungle for months at a time, and they don't have anywhere to go. And there's, because they're just in the middle of the jungle. It's like a 4-hour trip to get to anywhere outside the jungle, like a plane ride, multiple hours. And to put that in perspective, so at one point of the movie, Herzog buys an old bulldozer, and they're going to use it to kind of shape parts of where they're filming to fit like the theme of where they are. And it keeps breaking down. They have to have new parts flown in, which will take weeks. Often when they get the new part, it's the wrong part. So they have to wait longer to do it. So it tells you why this took 4 years to make this friggin' movie. And the bulldozer uses 120 gallons of fuel a day, which needs to be flown in to a location. And then these Indians will like paddle up the river in a canoe and put these huge drums of diesel fuel in these canoes just to take them back. The bulldozer can't climb up the hills most of the time. They have to put these huge, like 100-year-old logs so it doesn't lose traction. It's just this crazy.
It's like a calamity of errors.
Oh, yeah. It is crazy. And one thing that I was really impressed with is Werner Herzog not only speaks fluent English when this movie is made, which is like late 70s, he speaks fluent Spanish and he's German. Like he speaks all these languages. I was like, holy shit. Like I knew he spoke English because I've obviously heard him speak in different documentaries and interviews and stuff. And I just didn't know he spoke Spanish. The whole time he's just like talking to these Indians in Spanish, all the crew and everything. So that was Burden of Dreams. The next thing I'm going to talk about is, of course, the newest, well, not the newest, but the next installation in Dark Side of the Ring. The next one I'm going to talk about, because I'm not going to talk about both, but I could, but I'm not going to. I'm going to talk about the episode called Renegade, and it is about a wrestler, obviously. His name's Rick Wilson. He's a former male stripper who becomes a wrestler. And he was brought into the WCW after they had gotten Hulk Hogan. So that was like a big thing for them to get Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan kind of brought a little bit more legitimacy to them rather than just the Southern wrestling that everybody thought WCW was. And Renegade Rick Wilson was brought in by Hogan as this ultimate surprise. And they were, I mean, that's literally what they called him, the ultimate surprise. They were teasing him for like weeks at a time. And they're saying ultimate surprise because they're teasing it as this Ultimate Warrior wrestler. Like he's in the shadow when they would show him in the promos, and he looks just like his silhouette looks just like Ultimate Warrior. So they're trying to hype up the fans to be, you know, oh, they're going to bring Ultimate Warrior because Ultimate Warrior was basically, before Hogan came into WCW, Warrior was like the one wrestler that, you know, he was like the big adversary of Hogan. People were like, they were excited about these matches, even though they were always shit because Warrior couldn't do anything. Warrior had stepped away from wrestling because of a dispute, like a contract dispute with Vince McMahon. So
they had to go record Firepower.
Yeah, he had to go record awesome movies. They couldn't get Warrior, so they figured we're going to hang this Renegade character, this gimmick on Rick Wilson. Now, Rick Wilson had used a similar gimmick in Indies. He wrestled in Japan, and there was even, he got like an endorsement from Warrior. Like Warrior came out during one of his matches and was like, this guy is a warrior. You know, they were very similar. Like Rick Wilson based his entire wrestling persona on the Warrior. So, you know, they're kind of teasing this guy, and they finally bring him out. They tease him for weeks. They finally bring him out. People, when he runs out, he does like he's jacking up, and he's not jacking off, but he's jacking up, and he's like shaking the ring ropes and shit. And they think that this is Ultimate Warrior for about 15 seconds. And then almost instantly the crowd realizes like, this is not who they've been hyping for like, you know, weeks and weeks and weeks. It's this other guy. So when he comes in, they try to push him as this Warrior clone, but the audience continually rejects him. He's not very good. He misses spots all the time. He's just not, he's pretty.
Sounds pretty accurate to me.
He puts up this miserable performance against Paul Orndorff, and they had Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. They had him lose to Renegade when they first wrestled at some pay-per-view, and they're going at it, and Renegade pins the guy.
I just looked this guy up, and you remember those stuffed like wrestling buddies?
Yeah.
He kind of looks like the Ultimate Warrior stuffed wrestling buddy, but in a skirt of some sort.
Yeah, he wore a loincloth and all this stuff. His male dancer persona was Rio, and that King of the Jungle or something like that, and that's kind of what they wanted to bring with Renegade. But anyways, he pins Paul Orndorff, and the crowd turns. They like cheer Mr. Wonderful. They don't cheer for the baby face. They're cheering for the heel. Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff has been this heel like ever since he started wrestling. So it was like this really weird thing. I mean, he had a bit of a lapse, and maybe we'll talk about that next week. But so, you know, this totally tells everybody, the booking, everybody that, you know, the crowd is never going to get behind this guy. And the thing is, Renegade isn't really worse than Warrior, but he's really green. He's really limited in the ring. Warrior was really limited, but this guy misses these spots. As you probably saw, he wore Warrior style face makeup, but it was way like super lame. It's essentially like a big ketchup and mustard looking R on his face. And on TV, they like scrub it off his face, and they're screaming at him. They're like, "You're nothing, Rick." You know, like calling him by his name. They didn't call him by his name. You know, they called him Renegade. But then when they strip the makeup off of him, they call him Rick. And they humiliate him, like, in the ring, totally. And at this point, Warrior states, he comes out, he's like, he makes a public statement. He's like, this guy isn't related to me. I don't endorse him. And that all these things culminate into him falling into Jobberland. And once he's in Jobberland, he's not getting out. Like, he's gone from TV for months at a time. He comes back. Nobody cares. He's just the guy to get beat. It ends up like basically ruining his life. Them but them hoisting all this popularity on him at such a young, age, him not knowing anything about the wrestling business, really. I mean, he had very limited experience. He ends up getting, he spirals out of control with drugs and alcohol, as is Dark Side of the Ring. He ends up taking his own life. And then, everybody, by all accounts, he's like this really, like, everybody's like, he was so nice. He was quiet. He wasn't like braggadocious. He made like no money at first. They were paying him like $500 or something a week just to show up and get like slammed and shit. I don't know. It was kind of a sad story. It wasn't as good of an episode as the Necro Butcher one from a couple weeks ago. But
I don't know how you can compete with the Necro Butcher.
How could you? And then the last thing I'll talk about, because I've already babbled on way too long, is something I think that we've both watched, John. I watched a documentary called Python Hunt.
I saw Python Hunt and I was like, well, that's an instant hit play. I'm boycotting something else at the moment, so I'm going to watch this because, well, when you see a movie with a poster of a old woman with a machete and you realize it's a documentary in Florida about a python hunt, something that's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you just said, it's basically a documentary about this yearly competition in Florida. They get 10 nights. Amateur hunters get to go out into the Everglades. They hunt Burmese pythons. Basically, whoever catches the most wins $10,000. They have to kill them. That's part of it. And Burmese pythons.
We should note that they have to kill them because it's an invasive species in Florida, in this part of Florida. So they're at the point where it depends who you listen to on the documentary. Some people say they're essentially killing everything, and some people say like there's other problems too. So whatever. Yeah. But that's the basis of why they're down.
They also say it varies wildly between 50,000 Burmese pythons and 500,000 Burmese pythons in the area.
I heard at one point like 500 to 500,000. It's some crazy.
It's some crazy wide range because you can't. Not like you're going to be able to. Hey, there's one, there's two. Like you're not going to count.
I feel like if there were 500,000 Burmese pythons like around, that's all you would see.
Yeah. Just you'd be stepping on them. Yeah,
it's very much so. This very much so feels like the Florida real life documentary of Springfield's Whacking Day, though, in a lot of ways.
So it follows at least four different competitors for this thing, their entourages to win this competition. One of them's like a disgraced. I don't really remember why he was a disgraced. They have in Florida, they have people that are licensed by the state. They essentially work for the government that are licensed professional python hunters. That's why I say amateur hunters. And this guy's like disgraced in some way, so he can't enter the competition. I just got the impression he was pissed. Like he says he's disgraced, but then he enters a different competition like an hour into the documentary. So I was like, so is he just grumpy or something? Well, I think he's not legally allowed to, like he goes into this like a town hall meeting kind of thing. Yeah. Where people are like saying, different things from like, the pythons aren't doing anything.
Snakes are bad.
Yeah. We got to get rid of these pythons.
Snakes are all right.
Because they're killing everything. So he goes there and he's incognito. Like he just tucks his hair up under his hat. It's not like he's wearing a Groucho Marx disguise or anything, but I don't know. There's different competitors. One of them is this like 82-year-old woman who swills gin all the time. And she's like, she hires this super obese, like local writer, snake hunter guy who hires another entourage. And all she wants to do, she's recently widowed. She just wants to kill a snake.
The best thing about the bigum who's hunting these snakes, eventually, spoilers, he catches one and he brings it back and they're, talking about it and what they're doing their thing. And his hand gets all gnarled up by the snake. And there's another hunter there. I don't remember if he's part of his entourage or just at the same motel that they're all at. But he says something like, I didn't think he was going to be able to catch a snake on account of him being so fucking fat. But I guess he did. And it looks like the snake caught him too because it chewed up his fucking arm. I was like, that guy's funny.
Get that guy a show. This is essentially,
Right.
yeah, it's like a reality documentary following these 4 groups, and it's not that they're not hunting. Like one guy is dosing, he's like microdosing, and he's just.
I was gonna say, this is the best guy, and they should have made an entire documentary just about this dipshit microdosing and taking ecstasy, and then going out into the Everglades in the middle of the night,
just barefoot,
and somehow not dying.
Yeah, not getting eaten by an alligator or bit by a snake or killed or
like you do realize pythons aren't the only thing in that swamp, right?
Yeah, they have footage of like pythons eating alligators and shit, like crazy stuff. Anyways, some of the sources are saying is like the pythons are there because of in 92 Hurricane Andrew came and it like destroyed this python breeding facility, and all these baby pythons and shit escaped, and they think that's part of the problem because they don't just like lay an egg. It's not like one python is birthed from
like
a litter
50 or something like that.
Yeah, it's like a ton of them. And there's a scene where they are separating the eggs out, like in one of these things after they kill a python. There's like a ton of eggs coming out of it. It's insane. Anyways, I liked the documentary a lot. It was like really surreal. It had like a lot of trippy colors and stuff. I'd highly recommend it. It's on Amazon. We'll link it in the show notes, just like everything else, but I really enjoyed it.
I agree that it's fun, but you kind of nailed it when you said it's more like a reality show than like a documentary. It definitely, like, I don't feel like I'm any more or less educated on like if you on anything in this like documentary. Realistically, I think why you're going into it or what you're going to get out of it is you're watching a bunch of bumpkins go try to chase around snakes for about an hour and a half, and with varying degrees of success. You will see a couple snakes get euthanized in the movie, so if that's something that bothers you, that might be a reason to avoid it. But outside of that, you're really just kind of watching bumpkins be bumpkins, and that's usually got some level of entertainment value, and I wasn't too mad about it. So, and again, I would 100% sign on for either a full season of or a full documentary of the microdosing guy who's more concerned about his hair than the snakes that he catches. He guy changes his hair like 4 times over the course of the 10 days that he's there. And when I say changes his hair, I'm including facial. He comes in there looking like
huge, like Grizzly Adams beard.
Yeah, like Nick Offerman at like full mane. He says he's from like Portland or Seattle or something.
From San Francisco.
Or San Francisco, West Coast, whatever.
Yeah.
East Coast, West Coast, same thing.
It's water.
Yeah. But he's by far, like, the minute he gets there, he starts having a party there and stuff. Like, again, if you were going to keep the camera on someone for more than roughly their 25 minutes of screen time in this, and that's probably being generous, he's the guy that should have got it. You get a lot more of the old woman and the larger fellow that's trying to hunt with her and not really adding a lot of interesting dialogue. The like professional guy was somewhat interesting, and I could see like wanting more of him doing stuff too, because he actually seemed like he knew what he was doing. I did like what happened with his decoy at one point. Thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's again, as long as you're going into this looking for like reality show level like entertainment, you're going to have fun. If you're going into it looking to be educated about the Everglades, swamps, or the problems there within, pythons, probably not the documentary for you, but still worth watching because you will laugh at bumpkins. So
yeah, it's kind of like a slice of American culture documentary. I mean,
culture for sure. So.
Yeah. I mean, part of America, but I had heard about this documentary for, I don't know, like 6 or 8 months ago in some random thing like documentaries you should watch, one of those kind of things upcoming. There's another one too that I want to watch about. God, I can never remember the name of it, but it's like about debunking that Bigfoot film. And this guy supposedly has proof. Something uncovering Sasquatch or something like that. A lot of people are upset with him.
Isn't the Sasquatch's name Sally or something like that?
Yeah,
I think it's using
I don't remember.
Whatever.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one too. I've been keeping my eye out where I can stream that, but it's not been picked up for distro. I think it's still like on the indie circuit, showing it random places. It's probably Alamo draft houses or places that aren't anywhere near us. But yeah, John, that's what I got a chance to watch since we last talked. How about you? What you been watching?
Well, aside from Python Hunt, believe it or not, I watched a stupid movie called Killer Thong, and it is, you might not believe it, kind of fucking dumb. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's about a killer thong that is somehow reanimated to kill things. It doesn't really work very well. Things that I found entertaining in it. I like that they took the time to trademark the title card. So you see Killer Thong come up. I think it's in big red letters, but there's a little TM at the end of it. I'm like, because you needed to trademark Killer Thong? Are you worried about someone taking Killer Thong and rebooting it within 2 years and taking away the steam from your Killer Thong movie? Probably not. This is a modern movie. It's very like 2026 shot on shit or 2025 shot on Shidio. Everyone's still using Blackberries, so I found that to be kind of funny. There is a solid minute of screen time being filled by a thong on a ceiling fan just spinning around, which was some of the best filmmaking that I can even think. And there's also a solid minute of like a thong just floating around on a green screen saying stupid shit. But past that, it's a pretty stupid movie where a thong kills people. There's really no major redeeming qualities. It's the kind of movie where it's like, you put on a movie called Killer Thong. Did you expect it to be good? Like, it's one of those. So, would I recommend it? Not so much. Is it on Tubi? Absolutely. Should you watch it? Sure. I wasted my time. Waste your time. The other thing I put on was, again, kind of in the same vein of like, I'm annoyed with a professional baseball team at the moment, so I'm going to try to distract myself. I watched the new Jackass movie, Jackass Best and Last, and I'm assuming you haven't had a chance to watch this yet. I know it just popped up on streaming, so.
I did watch it. I watched that too.
You did?
I did, yes.
So, I don't know if you were saving this for later, but I will say this one is kind of interesting because it's kind of like a mix of a very small handful of new bits that kind of feel like they're the same bit over and over again, and like older stuff that you might or might not have seen before. The old stuff's fine and the old stuff's funny. Like, that's the stuff that I feel like you're kind of going to, if you're going to see this movie, that's why you should watch it, is kind of to see the older stuff. Because a lot of the new stuff, maybe it's just me, but I felt like this one came off really mean-spirited in comparison to some of the other ones. Like, it didn't seem as, whenever you watch the other Jackass movies, especially the first three, it is dumb and it is a bunch of guys that are, kicking each other in the dick and getting drunk and doing stupid shit for a couple hours and all that. That's absolutely accurate.
Yeah.
But it also, there's something about the low budget, like, camaraderie of the thing, the like relationships between them that at least on screen seemed like they were just a bunch of dumb people dicking around and having fun, and they happened to have cameras there catching it. With this one especially, and I guess you could make this argument about 4 as well, like any of the new stunts that they have just feel so produced and so like there's no like. There's a scene in this one where, and it's an old scene, where Steve-O just is in the middle of a field and he jumps on a rake and it smacks him in the face and knocks him over and makes a clunk sound. And that's like one of the funniest parts in the movie because it's low budget, it's dumb, and it's like, well, yeah, what did you think was going to happen? And then he did it. Anyway, that shit's really funny. There's, as far as the new content is concerned, there's absolutely none of that. Like, all the new stuff feels like they're either sticking someone up someone's ass or playing with some kind of turd. And I found some of that, like, I did find the prostate exam to be pretty funny, even though I was like, I don't think I ever need to see that again, but I kind of laughed at that because it just kept going. And the peanut butter as lube was a good touch. But past that, like, it just kind of felt like, yeah, it's probably time for you guys to hang this up. A
lot of it felt like to me that it did feel a little bit like going through the motions. And the other thing that I was thinking watching this is you see all these stunts or all these bits like set up. And I always think like, I didn't ever think it in any of the other movies, but in this one specifically, I'd see all this stuff set up and it's like, did they set all this shit up for the 5 seconds that it appears in this movie? Like, there's gotta be tons of stuff that they don't show. Like, it's fine. Maybe it doesn't, It's not up to standard or whatever, but it just feels like they spent a lot of money and got together and did like, I don't know, 30 minutes of new material, maybe 40 minutes out. It's like an hour and a half, hour and 40, something like that.
If that, like,
a lot of it's old. I was surprised that Bam shows up in so much stuff, considering he's not in good graces with, or, he's not super down with any of these people anymore. I'm sure that they paid him some amount and they're like, yeah, cool. Ryan Dunn's in it quite a bit. So it is like a bit of a, I don't know.
It's like a love letter to their own franchise.
Yeah. Like a chronicle of their, like you said, some of the funniest bits. I still love the one where they turn the lights out and they have like the snake. They think there's snakes in the room and there's no snake. So they re-show that. They show some ones that classic ones. They show some quote unquote unreleased or unseen footage. I'd seen the Johnny Knoxville shoot himself with a gun.
There was nothing in
vest.
There was nothing in this that I hadn't seen. I did find all the Big Brother movies, like all 4 of them on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to go back and watch those and see if they're just skate videos or actually a lot of dumb shit like I was hoping for, but haven't gotten around to it yet.
Maybe we should do that for an episode at some point. Just go back and watch those and talk about them.
All 4 of them.
Or just do that.
You know
before we talk about the main
after
movie
the
or
last
something.
3 weeks, after this week and the last 2 weeks, I would be thrilled about that. But anyway.
Yeah. Foreshadowing.
Yeah, it's not bad, especially now if you're not paying like $50 or however much it costs for you to go to a movie now, like in a theater. It's worth watching if you like the Jackass movies, and I don't know if I would call it a guilty pleasure. Like I thoroughly like laugh my ass off at the majority of the Jackass stuff. So I mean, I still felt myself entertained and laughing at it, but it's such a distant. I don't even know how many of them there are. Like there's 3 and or 4 of them plus 4. 3 of the 4 have like a 0.5. So what is that? 6 movies already or 7 movies, something like that. However many there are. This is by far my least favorite of them, but there's enough in there to be like, yeah, exactly. I could do without seeing Jackass's ass ever again, but I'm sure which I don't want to talk bad about the guy, but like, man, I hope he like gets his health under control because he looks like he's not doing well. So
yeah, I've seen videos about poopies and all this shit about like, how's he doing? Like, yeah, I think before this came out, he probably had no prospects. Just put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard plenty about that too. I mean, I don't need to get into all that. Anyway, so yeah, Jackass, best and last. Probably not the best, hopefully the last. I got a feeling there's still going to be more of it, but I guess we'll see. So
the last one was called Forever, right? Jackass Forever?
Yeah,
no?
part 4.
Did they do a 0.5 version of that?
Yeah, it's only on Netflix, which annoys me because I've been able to pick up all the rest of them except for that one. Like I'm sure I could find a bootleg out there somewhere, but I haven't really. I would like to think that at some point they're just gonna release it on DVD or something. But
yeah, I don't think I've ever seen any of the 0.5s. I've definitely seen all the movies. I mean, over time, but
for the earlier one, like the first 3, especially, I think the 0.5s are generally better. Because the movie is what went to theaters. So it's, I mean, usually you're getting all the R-rated stuff, but the 0.5 stuff, almost like it was all released as unrated. And at least at the time, it seemed just dramatically raunchier and crazier and stuff. One of my favorite bits is on, I think it's 3.5, where they basically just they're in a shed or like a small room or something like that. They just have the whole floor like lined with all these Coke bottles. And you can see that they take one, put a whole thing of Mentos in it, shake it, and then they just start throwing them on the floor, and these things like rocket propel at the rest of them. And they do that for like 3-4 minutes. And I don't know. I just thought it was a crazy little skit that they did. And again, this speaks to what I like in Jackass. Low budget, stupid shit. Someone's going to get hurt or probably going to get hurt. Do it anyway. That kind of thing. As opposed to like, shit, I have no idea how much that robot costs, but probably a $1 million robot coming just to stick a finger up Steve-O's ass. Like, it's a different like thought process. So,
yeah.
So, but that's all I got for this week. So unless you got anything else you want to talk about Jackass or anything else, whatever you want to do, we can take a break and come back and talk about Evil Dead. Well, yes. So, all right. So we'll be right back. We're going to be back with all the ED. It's burning. It's going to be all the good stuff.
Ouch.
Hey, if you love unpredictable conversations, weird hobbies, TV obsessions, music rabbit holes, and all the stuff you didn't even know you cared about, you've got to check out WTF Are You Doing? That's the podcast where hosts Hearn Dizzle and E. Biddy just talk about whatever the f*** they're into. One week it's reality shows. The next it's ranking fast food mascots. And sometimes it's just pure creative chaos. You can check them out and all the other great shows on the You Run Podcast Network at yourunpodcast.com. Maybe you've heard, maybe you haven't, but we've got a Patreon now.
Another Patreon? Really?
Well, yeah, but this one is different.
How could this possibly be different?
Well, first off, you get episodes early, and we have Discord.
Everybody has a Discord thing. I thought you said this was different.
Well, it's not just that we've got a Discord, but we've got different stuff on the Discord.
Okay, I'm listening. What else?
Look, this read is already getting to be too long, and I'm running out of AI credits. So if you want to know all the perks of joining our Patreon, check it out at patreon.com/Dewey Pod Monster for all the details. Go check it out.
All right, so we're back. And unfortunately, I'm an idiot. I forgot to get a third-party review, so we're skipping that this week. We're going to go right into it. And I'm going to pass it over to Sean. And Sean, you want to... I'm upset. Sean, do you want to enlighten us on what Evil Dead Burn is about? Perhaps read a passage from the enlightened one, Nick Berganis. I don't know. We'll see how it goes this week.
You know, I wish Nick Berganis would grace us with a synopsis here, but instead we're going to go to imdb.com. That's the website that I look these things up on, and we type in the words Evil Dead Burn, and that brings up a movie from 2026. It gets an R rating. It's an hour and 50 minutes long. It gets a 6.4 out of 10 with 37,000 ratings. It's on the popularity scale. This is on the popularity scale, believe it or not. It is at 29, I believe, meaning it's cratering because there's a little red line going down. And it says it's down 18 spots from some other number. We're going to go to the storyline or the plot or whatever it is on the top. We're supposed to read it because they put it on the top, so it has to be read first. It says, after the loss of her husband, a woman seeks solace with her in-laws. As one by one they transform into Deadites, she comes to discover that the vows she took in life survive even in death. And if we scroll on down to the other thing, I believe it's called the storyline. That must make the other one the plot. Who knows? I'll forget by next week. This one comes care of Warner Bros. It says, after the loss of her husband, a woman seeks solace in her in-laws in their secluded family home. As one by one, they are transformed into Deadites, turning the gathering into a family reunion from hell. She comes to discover that the vows she took in life live on, even in death.
I wish this whole movie had the tone that you just read this in. So, I mean, I don't really know if we need a cliff notes on this. I will say that I don't know how much we can talk about this movie without getting into some spoilers to some extent. We'll do our best not to ruin the movie for you, but I think there's going to be plot points that come up because it's kind of a condensed movie, and not from run length, but I don't know how else we could talk about this one without getting into it a little bit. So
yeah, and if you're interested in watching this before you listen to this whole episode, in the show notes, we're going to leave a link to where you can watch it. It's probably going to be on Amazon. We'll get a little cutback, a little kickback from that. If you want to watch that before you listen to us talk about this, that link will be there. Thank you.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. You should watch it before you listen to at least one of us talk about it. So let's get on the good side of things first, though. And I'm sorry, Cliff Notes. So we didn't do Cliff Notes yet. I'll do Cliff Notes. This one's kind of simple. It's an Evil Dead movie. Someone reads some shit from a book and Deadites show up and fuck up everything. That's the movie. I mean, there's more to it than that. This one has, like, we'll get into like what the underlying story is or what the theme is for this one. But I mean, at the heart of it, it's an Evil Dead movie. They say Plateau, Necktie, banana, and then Deadites show up and are angry.
All right. Can we, before we get into the cast, who says it?
Who says it in this movie?
Yeah.
Isn't it played on a record? No, it's one of the family members that says it because they're like intentional about it, isn't it?
I thought it was the first Deadite at the beginning of the movie.
Been like
that rises up out of the water.
I watched this movie.
And I thought that she said it, which would mean that she's invoking her own thing.
Well, that happens too. That happens too, because that also wraps back around to the post-credit scene.
Yes.
And how it links to Rise, because she's the same Deadite that was in the water.
Yes.
From the beginning of Rise. And it also, this movie, so I guess we're just going to get into it. This movie fucks around with the lore a little bit from what we've seen in other Evil Dead movies, because in this movie, the Deadites are actually going after some shit. Like they're specifically targeting these people, as opposed to the previous movies where it's just been, whether intentional or unintentional, some schmucko reads the words and then they show up and they are dealing with the fallout. This was more intentionally brought on for the Deadites to show up.
Yeah. You want to do cast?
Which, yeah, well, sure. Who's in this movie?
Oh, well, thanks for asking. We have Suheyla, Yacoub, who plays Alice. She was in Dune Part 2 and Climax. We have Tandy Wright, who plays Susan. She was in Pearl. Help, I'm Alien Pregnant.
Wait, help, I'm Alien Pregnant? What's that?
It's a short, I think, but it had an interesting name, and I was like, that's cool. Shortland Street and Creamery. We have Hunter Doohan, who plays Joseph. He is Tyler Galpin in the Wednesday TV series. He was in Your Honor with Bryan Cranston, and he was in Daredevil, Born Again, as actor. We have Luciane Buchanan, who plays Thea. She was in lots of TV series, including The Night Agent, Filthy Rich, Chief of War, and several others. And then we have Errol Shand, who plays Edgar. He was in The Reclaimers, Our Flag Means Death, and Safe Home. This was directed by Sebastián Vaneček, who directed the 2023 film Infested, which is a Shudder original. You can go watch that on Shudder if you'd like. This movie had an estimated budget of $20 million and a worldwide gross of $71 million to date.
Cool.
Yeah. Fucking A right.
So there's some Deadites in this movie, and we might or might not have liked stuff about it. Sean, why don't you kick us off? Were there things you liked about this one?
Yeah, I guess there were a few things. Yeah. So let's get into it. So one thing that I like about the movie, it's a plus minus for me, more on the plus side or else it wouldn't be in likes, but the movie has this very awkward feel between the characters. There's like an initial tension between the characters and you're not really 100% sure like why, but it continues that through the whole movie, the whole from start to finish. There's this awkward dynamic between the family. It's not like an inviting scenario. I don't think it's supposed to be comfortable, but this is like next level uncomfortable. Just the way that everybody acts towards each other, the way that they talk to each other about each other. It just gives you this real uneasy feeling that this family has amongst each other.
I'd agree with that. I don't know that I would put it in a like per se, but I completely agree with you that it's in there. It is very discernible to this Evil Dead movie specifically. Like even this one feels more like 2013 than any of the rest of them, in my opinion. But even compared to 2013, this feels much more
like mean-spirited.
Plotting.
Yeah.
Well, that too. But like, I didn't want to say mean-spirited just because one, I already said that about another movie in this. And two, it's an Evil Dead movie. Like outside of Army of Darkness, these Deadites don't show up and do nice things generally.
They're not juggling and opening doors for people, doing your dishes and shit. I mean, they're
right
out to kill.
But it does do a good job of building tension up to a point where things change my opinion about it. But it is clearly trying to build a lot of tension, and there's a lot of points in this movie where it succeeds in that. There's things that can happen that can change my opinion about, like, it almost hits a point where that bubble bursts. I think that's actually one thing this movie does in almost every aspect of what it's trying to do. Is I feel like this movie does whatever the line was that an Evil Dead movie can do and push to that line. I feel like this movie is pushing to that line as much as humanly possible within the confines of an Evil Dead movie. And that, honestly, some people are going to like that. Some people aren't.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say, like, on that kind of same token, the gore, if you're a gore hound, you're probably going to love this movie because it's like excessive. There are some times where it can be kind of tough to watch. I mean, but you know, it's insane. And it's really I felt like it was really well done. All the effects are pretty well done. It doesn't look it looks green screeny at times, but it doesn't look horrible. Like it looks pretty realistic. Some of the things that happen. I mean, these are undead Deadites, right? So you can pretty much do anything to destroy them, but it seems almost double standardy in some respects.
I feel like the gore in this one is pretty great, except for when it's not, and when it's not, it's painfully obvious. I don't just mean the gore, but the effects as a whole. Especially, I never thought I would see the day that, and this is a negative, but I'm putting it here anyway because we brought up effects. You know, Evil Dead has been built on being a very practical effects-based franchise for the most part. Even when you get into the 2013 one, they talk about how many gallons of blood they had to pull off that chainsaw scene at the end, how much is, you know, slopping around and stuff. I'm sure there's some effects in there that are done via CG as well, but I never thought I would see a fully animated CG character realized in an Evil Dead movie as part of the, I guess, the climax of the film. And I mean,
there's even another character that's practically the same thing for
Yeah.
most of the movie. So,
and realistically, if this movie didn't have the words Evil Dead in the title, I probably wouldn't have cared. It actually, the character that I'm speaking about specifically kind of remind me a lot of something that happens in Alien Romulus, which I don't know if you watched that yet or not, so I'm trying not to ruin that for you. Yeah. Okay. It reminds me a lot of that character that's in there at the end of the movie, like in the, I guess, the second ending of that movie. From what I haven't watched that since it came out, so maybe I'm screwing up the timeline a little bit, but it reminded me like that as far as how jarring it looked compared to the rest of the movie, like how obviously CG this animated character was compared to the majority of what else we'd seen leading up to it, and how more so with Evil Dead for me, like it just kind of didn't feel like it. Well, doesn't matter what I think as far as that. I didn't like that it was a fully CG character, and I'll bitch later.
I guess another like that I have is that there are some scenes in this movie that are really well shot. I'm speaking specifically, there's a scene where it's near the end, or what you would think is the end, where Alice is the main character. Everybody else, there's just this big brawl going on all around her. And it's like this, I'm sure it's not, but it's the way that it's presented is it's like a single take where she's like crawling through the room. There's people like flying around. There's like stuff exploding, people getting thrown through shit all in the background. And she crawls her way into this room and closes the door. And then, I mean, that's just a single take. It's like a 30, 45 second scene. And there's another one where their two characters are fighting on like a stairwell or something. And somebody gets swung into something. And you realize that they get swung into a mirror. And the whole perspective that you've been watching up until them hitting the mirror is you've been watching in the mirror. They smash into the mirror, and then the camera like spins around to have you be at a different vantage point. It's a cool twist on some of the actual filmmaking, the shots that are set up. But honestly, I think overall, some of it is kind of bland, and some of it is like super to me, like super next level impressive the way that they do it. Again, I'm sure it's not, you know, like just like the movie Birdman, everybody was like, oh, one shot. It's not one shot. It's just pieced together really well to make it look like it's one shot. This kind of has the same kind of feel. Like, again, we've talked about the effects. There's a lot of CG going on, so, you know, it's impossible for that to be one take, but I'm sure maybe she was crawling in one take. I don't know exactly how it is, but like I was just saying, a like that I had is that some of the shots are like really next level impressive to me. I thought they were really cool looking. And the last thing that I have in my like column, if you want to rebut.
Before you do that.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to rebut. Actually, I want to agree with you. The number one thing that I liked in this movie was that, and very true to Evil Dead has always been good at innovating how you're going to use the camera. Like, if you look at the original movie, they had, I don't remember what they called it now, but they fucking tied the thing onto the 2x4 and ran it around the woods to get that, like, that FPS perspective of whatever the evil is. I mean, that came from Evil Dead. And there's a million other, like, Evil Dead 1 and 2 especially, like, if you ever get a chance to see the behind the scenes of how they made those movies and how they achieve those shots, like, it's, if you like making, like, how films are made, how the sausage is made, that's a good one to do it because they tell you everything. This one kept true to that. Like, the camera moves in weird and jarring ways. It plays tricks with you, so you know you're inside of this centralized location, but it almost feels like you never know exactly where you are within that location.
Yeah.
And I think that's very much so by design. It's making you feel isolated, but also like lost at the same time.
Yeah, like disoriented.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about I love the look of the camera and how it moves and everything. I don't like the color palette on this movie because I feel like you either have gray or fire, and there's not a lot of in between.
Yeah,
so
gray, brown,
the fires, yeah, like there's not enough. I mean, I'm fine with that as being like a backdrop, but I would have liked to seen just, I don't know if it needs to be a character or if it needs to be the tone of color that your blood you chose or whatever, but something to make things pop off the screen a little more than fire or gray is the only thing I would say is like a rebut to that. But I think the way they use the camera is super cool.
Yeah, it's super muted colors. Like you said, it's a lot of like dark greens, a lot of brown, like decrepit looking places. The whole house that basically the movie takes place in reminded me that Resident Evil, there's a Resident Evil game. It's Resident Evil, I think it's 7, where it takes place in a house. And it's just it's supposed to be in the South. It's all run down. You know, there's like the humidity is like warped everything. It's gross. And you're with this like psycho family. So it kind of, oddly enough, it feels like there's parallels a little bit to the family dynamics that are going on. And the house kind of setting feels very much like they took a lot of inspiration from a game, which is kind of, I mean, I guess in this day and age, that's not all that odd, and that's not even in either of my columns, just an observation. But my last thing I have in my light column is, again, plus minus, like the weed whacker with the blade on it, right? I know they sell those. I've never seen one in real life. I didn't know they existed until this movie. I'm like,
only ever time I saw one other than this was in Friday the 13th part 7.
Okay. Yeah. Horror movie staple, slasher movie staple. How common is that? I don't know. I would have liked to have seen, it would totally go against the tone of this movie. But there's a scene where the character like pulls the pull on it, starts right up, which is fake. That doesn't happen. Like, I can't even start a lawnmower in one pull most of the time. Anyways, pulls the thing, no one-liner, just give me a one-liner. Just give me some little humorous quip. No quip.
Oh,
like, it would have been nice to have a quip.
We're going to talk about that more. So.
And it doesn't, like, it gets used, but it doesn't get used till like almost the first end. The third act. I feel like this movie has a fourth act, and I'm sure we'll get into that. So that kind of rounds out, personally, my likes on this movie.
I have 2 other things, and they're kind of smaller, very scene-specific things that are in here. So they are a little spoilery, but you've been warned. I do like at one point that we get Deadgar with a pistol, which I don't think we've seen a Deadite pick up a firearm before. At least I can't remember it. Obviously, Ash had a shotgun, but I can't remember another point where a Deadite actually picked up a firearm. I'm kind of disappointed that the only thing he did with it was shoot himself.
Yeah.
On the one hand, it was kind of, I'm like, all right, that's kind of gnarly and that's kind of effed up and whatnot. But then he just like triples down on it. I'm like, you kind of could do something. You did it once. You made your point. Now make your point on someone else,
Yeah.
So whatever. But I thought it was cool to even see that be a thing because, again, outside of your hero, I can't think of any type of firearm being used in an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
And the other thing that I like, so I'm going to use this to pivot into dislikes because I'm going to start it with a compliment. One thing that I did like, and one of the only moments of humor that I found in this entire movie. So again, this is near the tail end of the movie. We find out that there's a MacGuffin in the movie that our main character, and French girl, I don't remember her name, Alice, is trying to find. She's going through, it's a dagger. She's going through this like pile of daggers in this, I think they're in an attic.
Mm-hmm.
And they come across the dagger from the first 3 movies. And instantly as a fan, we're like, oh, she found the dagger. And then I like that was a MacGuffin, that it's the wrong thing and that it just doesn't do shit. I was like, and the Deadites just like wrong dagger or something like that. Like,
I think
that's
the
exactly only,
what he says.
Yeah, something, again, I like that they use that as finally they had like a breath for something in the movie. And I'm going to come back and save the humor for more because that goes to my overall problem with really the Evil Dead franchise as a whole right now. But this movie is like the biggest one with it. I'll go over the stuff that I didn't like as like the quick little one-off things before I get into the bigger things. So I hate that we see a couple off-camera kills in this movie. And I know that they see like slop and stuff coming from, like, one of them's in like a chimney and you see some slop falling down from whatever happened to this person.
Mm-hmm.
But in a movie that's a Evil Dead movie, I don't want to see off-camera kills, period. Like, if you're going to put it in an Evil Dead movie, You're making this movie to be gnarly, and this movie's clearly trying to be as gnarly as it can possibly be. Why do we have like 2 or 3 off-camera kills in this movie? So that I thought was stupid. There's a scene early in the movie where someone's like deaditing out and they're in a car. And I don't like this scene because there was a chance for some really good comedy that could have happened and they chose not to, because essentially this deadite's got like 1 foot, if I'm remembering right, 1 foot on the airbag where the airbag compartment would be on the passenger side of the car. And they're like pushing back against either the seat or like the center compartment or something like that. So it's clearly doing damage to the airbag compartment. Why didn't that airbag go off? Why didn't that airbag go off and like either make a big dent in the roof of this car or ejection seat the guy out the sunroof or run? I don't care. Something.
Yeah.
But some kind of carnage should have happened with that. So I didn't really like that. Those are my like 2 quick ones that I can do. Do you have any quick ones like that before you want to get into like overarching things?
No. I do have a question for you though.
Okay.
So, we go back to the character, the Deadite with the gun. And I don't know if you know this.
I've been calling it. I've been calling it.
Sure, Deadger. Yeah, why not? So, what is a Deadite's motivation? Like, is it to kill or is it to inflict damage in a torturous way? Like, I don't understand why he wouldn't just shoot somebody.
So if you're talking about the first 3 movies, I would say they are manifestation of chaos with a sadistic side. If you're talking about these 3 movies, I'd say sadism, period.
Yeah. I just wonder why he uses the gun on himself. It's like, what? I mean, it looks gross.
I don't know.
Like, but why? It's shocking, right?
The first shot, super cool. Glad you did it. Something different.
Mm-hmm.
Why you had to do it again 2 more times, I don't know. And that also brings into the question then, we've seen Deadites get killed, we think. Again, we'll get into the post-credit scene, it sounds like, but we've seen Deadites get killed. So if this guy puts 3 in his brain, like, shouldn't he be at least down for the count for a couple minutes? So
yeah, something should happen. But yeah, I mean, for me, dislikes, the first thing I wrote down about this movie was a dislike. So, and that's not normal for me. Like, usually I find something that's like, oh yeah, for me, like the big number 1 dislike that I have about this movie is, and this is what I wrote, are these characters ever going to become likable? There is nobody in this movie. There is no favorable. 1. You think there's one?
No. That's my.
Oh, that's number 1 for you too.
That's why I stopped myself to come back around to it, because it goes into the humor side of it too. But go ahead.
The first 40 minutes of this movie feel so disjointed. It's like it hops from one scene to the next scene, from one scenario to the next scenario. One of the characters that comes back later dies at the beginning of the movie, and I didn't realize these are brothers, right? And the only way that they
didn't care.
Yeah, I didn't care. I didn't like him. Like, he's just an asshole. And the only way that you know that they're brothers, at least initially, like in the first, forever long until you realize, like, why are they having a funeral? There's like, they call each other brother like once or twice. If you knew how many times my kid called somebody bro, you got to do more than have somebody call somebody else brother for me to know that that's their brother. But yeah, the characters are totally unlikable. There's nobody that stands out that you want to root for. They're just all assholes. The tension is just too much. You just don't, even the other brother, Joseph, he's like a puss. Like, there's nothing to like about him. I thought he would be the main character for a while. And then he's just not likable. Like, when bad things happen to these people, you don't like sympathize with them or anything. It's just kind of like, okay, that's a scene that happened. This is something that happened to somebody. Oh, that sucks. That would hurt. Oh, that's rough. And like, I think you just said, like, the first 40 minutes, the only thing that's defined in this movie is the family sucks. And it's uncomfortable. It's hard to watch. Not hard to watch because of any like gore or anything like that happens. It's not hard to watch like, oh man, this shit's crazy. It's just hard to watch because you don't like any of the people. It's tense. It's disjointed. It's just all over the place. You're like, what's happening? Who are these people? How are they related to each other? I didn't know that the dad was the dad until minutes after they introduce him, because it's not like you just have to make inferences. But with a movie like this, where the story's so all over the place so quickly, like Evil Dead Rise, I wasn't going to mention it, but the beginning, the lake scene in that movie is like minutes. And this one, the lake scene at the beginning of the movie is like 15 minutes long. And you're like, okay, does this actually have to do with a lot of the movie? No, it's just a way long intro clip. So yeah, my big, huge dislike, which of course is just a downward spiral from there, like all downhill to what I'm going to write after this, is the characters suck. Like, I don't care about these characters, and they're going through a slaughterhouse, and it's just kind of like, all right, now I guess I'm just up for some gross stuff that's going to happen because I don't like any of these characters.
Agreed. 100%. And I think for me, like, we've said this on the show a bunch of times. I know you know this. I have a soft spot for the original Evil Dead movies because they were how I got into horror. So yeah. It's not fair to this movie, but I do hold them at a higher level. And if I'm being honest, if this movie was called Demons Burn instead of Evil Dead Burn,
yeah,
I probably wouldn't be as mean to it. But you put the words Evil Dead in there, you put it in the franchise, so I automatically have a higher expectation from it. Now, for me, a big part of why I love the original Evil Dead movies is really more so 2 and Army of Darkness. Like, 1 is a lot of proof of concept, I think, before like Sam and Bruce and all them figured out all the shit that they wanted to do. But the one thing you can say about all 3 of those movies and the TV show is they're extremely character driven. And the reason why I think, for me, and I don't think I'm alone in this, why so many people love those movies and specifically the character of Ash, is it's kind of like taking a B-rate action star and throwing them into this like fucked up horror movie scenario. You're delivering on all the horror elements, and you're delivering on the schlock, and you're delivering on the writing, making a reluctant hero that you've kind of grown, because you go through part 1, 2, and 3 with him. You've almost grown with this character. You've seen him come from being this like disheveled puss all the way up to this like arrogant dick, so many words. And it's comical the whole way to see this character grow. Now you take Evil Dead 2013, and it's still, although that movie is a whole different, it's a tonal shift, to say the least. It's extremely character driven. It's talking about Mia and her struggles with drugs and all that shit. You get to Evil Dead Rise, and it's character driven. It's about the mother and the relationship with the kids and all that fucking stuff. She throws the fucking baby down the hallway. It's great. This one, you know, obviously the underlying theme is about like either spousal abuse or shitty families. I mean, one note I wrote is, what is this domestic abuse of the movie? Because that's kind of all this is up until the Deadites actually show up, not like the, I guess, pre 15 minutes in the lake or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really just spousal abuse, the movie, for a while. And you never have a reason, you never really have a reason to root for Alice. Like, you're rooting for her, I guess, because she's the least deplorable of these humans.
Human. So she's the only one you can root for.
Right. But you're not really rooting for her. You're like, all right, I guess, like, you know, again, not that it would make any sense, although it would make the movie infinitely better. If you just dropped Ash in the middle of this movie, you instantly have someone to get behind, to pull for, and almost to have like, the other thing that Ash does, or a character like Ash does, he's almost a mouth for the audience. Like, if people all the time, there's no way you're going to know how you would respond to demons coming in doing all this shit. That's a stupid statement, and I'm not going to try to make it. But being a smartass, being like annoyed about it, and the way that his character responds to things feels more human than anything you see in this movie, to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the other thing that's a big downside with this too is, in a lot of ways, like, the events in this movie don't feel radically different than the last 2. Again, this is where you can take away the first 3 movies. Like, ultimately, what are these 3 movies? So they did them like the first one, 2013, kind of feels like a reboot in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
I like that for Rise, they took it out of the woods and put it in this like apartment building. I thought that was cool that they always change the setting. But ultimately, we have someone says the words, and then you're in an isolated area and fucked up shit happens for an hour and a half or more. And that's exactly what, like, there's nothing. Yes, there's different ways that people die. And yes, they do different gross things to the Deadites or the non-Deadites, I guess. But it's not really a radically different, like, feeling movie than, especially if you've seen 2013. I don't feel like it's radically different from that, or at least not different enough to make it feel like a warranted sequel, if that makes any sense. Like, it just doesn't really stick out much to me. I don't know if you felt that way with it or not.
I mean, yeah, I didn't, like you said, the Rise I liked because it put it in a bigger area. There were more people. It was, I don't know, it just had a different feel to it. This one just, like you said, because it's isolated, just stupid stuff happens. Like, there's a scene, I don't know, halfway through, 2/3 of the way through, where the mom is talking to Deadger, and he's like at the window, like,
yeah.
Deadger has been the opposing person for a majority of this movie, and he's stuck outside. So then someone else gets infected on the inside, then it starts spreading, all this stuff happens. But in the meantime, he's still just outside. Like, can they not break through a window? Can they not open a door? Like, it's not like they try to barricade things, but it's clearly not barricaded. It's just
his house.
stuff.
Deadger's probably got a set of keys on him.
Yeah, it's like a huge house. It's an old Victorian style house. There's all these different rooms. The other thing for me is, like, the house is set up so stupidly. There's like this weird bathroom on the 80th floor of this 2-story house that just seems like it has like no end in sight. There's just weird rooms scattered throughout, like a laundry room, on the third. It's just like, it's just set up really weirdly. And I'm sure it's just more of like a set piece to smash people into shit and then go back and smash them into something else in some other room and have it feel like they're moving through this house or whatnot. But I don't know. It's just a grinder, it's just there to grind these people into meat. And if that's fine. But like you said earlier, if this didn't carry an Evil Dead name on it, maybe I wouldn't go in with any expectation at all and just hear about some movie where, these people get all whatever. You could have the exact same thing happen. I had to look up to see if this was actually a different script that got like grafted into Evil Dead, like how what
they
wasn't
bought
Die
it
Hard
for whatever reason.
Yeah, it wasn't like Die Hard 3 or something originally supposed to be Lethal Weapon or something, like one of those kind of situations where they wrote some script and they oh shit, let's make it Evil Dead. No, this was supposedly an original thing. And another thing with going at how stupid the characters are, you mentioned the dagger. She finds the dagger, she finds the right one, and she's in the attic where there's a choke point. She's at a choke point where all the Deadites could come up and she could just like boop, 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 boop. No, she decides she's going to jump out the window, almost fall off, drop the dagger, just like dumb shit. Like, why would you do that? That just doesn't make any sense. Why would you would go from a place where where all the entryways are and you can defend yourself to go to a different place? It's nonsensical. I don't know. For me, this was like a ton of watch checks. The movie goes on. There's like a false ending.
This movie has absolutely no fucking business being almost 2 hours long.
No, it's 40 minutes before we start seeing any real result of Deadite activity. I mean, you do see things here, smatterings here and there, but where things actually start to turn, it's 40 minutes into the movie. And I was like, oh, that kind of felt like it went quick for it to be 40 minutes. But then it just drags. And like I said, there is a false ending and there's still 15 minutes left of the movie where you think the movie is done. And then you're like, oh, this has to be wrapping up soon. You look at your watch, it's like, and then you look at the movie timer and it's like, nope, you still got 20 minutes, motherfucker. If you want to see what happens, you're just strapped in. Sorry, bro. It's like, oh my God, is this thing ever going to end?
Yeah. And I could keep bitching. The only thing I'm going to point out, I'm pointing this out more for the audience. If you haven't seen this movie and you're still with us somehow, this is a negative for me. I don't think Sean's is worried about this. Just so you know, this is more of a warning. There is a scene where a dog gets it pretty early in the movie, and it's pretty intense for a scene of this nature. So if you're like me and that pisses you off, just be aware of that going in. The only other thing that's worth mentioning is the post-credit scene. Do you even want to talk about that? Or because I don't understand it.
The first or the second one? There's
the second
in credit, and then there's I don't think we need to talk about it. I don't want to. It is kind of like what really ties the movie's rise and burn together.
It feels very tacked on. It feels a little Avengers-y. But here's what I'll say. The only thing I'll say is it doesn't make any fucking sense. And it's kind of, I understand that Deadites have always kind of never made a lot of sense as far as what the rules are. It's not like a movie like, I don't know, Lost Boys, where they're like, sun bad, cross is bad, blood good. Not quite like that. So like the Evil Dead rules have always been kind of fast and loose. Like, yeah, fuck, whatever. Like with this, because of the character that they bring back specifically, I was like, how the fuck did that happen? Like,
yeah, I'm wondering if that's like, because I said at the beginning, like, who says the words? And it's almost like they didn't have to say them because the person's still there.
All right. Well, we have a rule about not talking too long or going over the runtime of the movie, and we got some time, but we're
cutting it close.
We got some time, but if we go by Evil Dead rules anymore, we're going to be hitting it real close. So I'm going to say, let's fire up the grill and get out of here.
Then you're in for a big treat, bro, because it's hot dog time.
So I'll kick us off on this one. I think I'm the resident Evil Dead fanboy, so I'll be mean first. No, I don't give this movie any hot dogs. I fucking hated this movie. I found this to be a miserable slog of a watch. This made me feel a lot like watching a Rob Zombie movie. I imagine this is how Sean feels when he's watching a Terrifier movie. There's next to no redeeming qualities on this. And I hate the fact that I will probably buy a physical copy of this because I'm an absolute idiot and a completionist. And I have every other Evil Dead movie, so I have to have it just to, put it on the shelf. But 0 out of 0 hot dogs out of infinity. I don't fucking like this movie. I think I hate this movie. And quite frankly, the last 3 weeks are making me rethink how much I like movies as a whole.
Why do they still make these fucking things? I mean, he could have bounced a fucking basketball next to that dog, for Christ's sake, instead of doing what they did to him.
Whose hot dog is this? Huh? Is it yours?
No, that was his hot dog. I think a movie like this, I have so many dislikes that it's impossible to outweigh them and tip the movie into the like category. I didn't even go through. I was just furiously typing notes of negative things I didn't even talk about probably a lot of them. It like we both said, it's disappointing because I really, really enjoyed Evil Dead Rise, even though it's different. It was out of the box. It wasn't. And I think that's what made me like a lot of it, is it's just different enough. I don't know where they can go with this movie, the franchise, and at this point, I don't really know if I care. Putting the movie in a shitty Resident Evil 7 style decrepit house setting with a totally shitty family. There's just nobody likable, nobody to root for. If you're a gore hound and you want to see impressive brutality, then this movie might just be for you. Evil Dead Burn might be for you. Like I said, it's just too many complaints for me to recommend it. It's not the worst movie, but I don't think there's a whole lot of redemption in my mind. It's a 0 hot dogger. I can say, that we could do without with less making out with dead people. Let's put it that way. And one thing after this movie ends, multiple
if we're going to do
ending.
If we're going to do it, can we at least make the making out with dead people kind of entertaining?
Yeah, it's just gross. It's nasty. Anyways, I like movies like this at the end, not the end, but the original end on the ambulance, that whole thing. I always wonder the outcomes, what happens after movies like this. Sometimes there's all this carnage, all this shit's been burnt up. All these people are fucking dead. And they're just like, oh, what happened to you? And she's like, oh, my husband beat me up, or whatever she said. I don't even remember what it's like. That's how you're going to get away with all this
7 murders or whatever.
Yeah, all these murders, all this equipment, all this construction shit just destroyed, and places just lit ablaze. Yeah, some guys came and they beat me up. Like, really? Like, you're in pretty bad fucking shape. So yeah, did not like it. Not a great way to end a 3 movie or a 4 movie new movie thing. I liked all the other ones. God damn it! This one was just it was a bridge too far or something. I don't know. It was just not likable for me.
Well, I think it's time to flush that turd down the toilet and move on to another week. So while we do that, thank you. If you hung out with us this long, thank you. I know we weren't very nice for most of this episode. Well, we were fine when we were talking about pythons.
Yeah. Jackass.
Yeah,
Jackass. Not even calling you a jackass, just the movie Jackass.
I'll take you
Jackass.
If you'd like to follow us, you can get a better idea of what else we're watching. We post stuff sometimes. You can do that on all the social medias. We're at Dewey Pod Monster, with the exception of Blue Sky, where we are at crap.town. You can head over to our Patreon. We are a crowd-supported show, and we appreciate anyone who's already joined us. We have different levels and different platforms, different whatever, badges, things, subscriptions.
Badges?
I don't even know the right word. Badges?
No stinking badges, man.
You can be a hot dogger. You could be a dirt biking dickhead. All kinds of cool stuff. That's over at patreon.com/Dewey Pod Monster. That was probably the worst read I could have possibly done for that. So I'm sure we'll get zeros of people following from it. What else is going on here?
Spotify tells me if you say, please follow the show on Spotify, it really helps. And we've gotten a few more followers from it. So I'm just say that, John. Follow the show on Spotify. It really helps.
So, of course, we're available on any podcast platform. If you are on any platform, please do give us a follow. It really helps, especially if you're on Spotify, on Apple, on Pocket Cast, whatever it is. If there's an option to follow the show, please give us a follow. We would appreciate it. It helps. Also, leave us reviews. That also helps. You can be mean to us. We don't care.
That helps.
We are You Run. Yeah, that helps. We are You Run Podcast Network members as well. Find all of our old episodes, new episodes, and all the other great shows on the You Run Podcast Network at yourunpodcast.com. Sean, wrap it up. Bring us home. Let's get out of here.
Please, let's finish this fucking thing up. Jesus Christ. All right. I was going to say, if you like anything we talked about,
it's starting to feel that way. So.
It is. If you liked anything we talked about in the show notes, check out the show notes. There's links to stuff that we talked about. You can go check it out for free most of the time. Sometimes you have to pay for it. Sometimes that's on Amazon. Sometimes when you click the links that say Amazon next to him, Jeff Bezos opens his wallet. After the malls all fly out, he hands us a fiskaroo and says, hey, get out of here, kid. You bother me. And then we go buy a hamburger that we pay for on Tuesday. Anyways, you can find me on Blue Sky at internalbleeding.crap.town. I post things that interest me or stuff about bread clips or, I don't know, people being mystified by fucking aerial shots in movies in the 30s. I don't know when they did that. Anyways, check me out on Blue Sky. Leave a review on all that stuff. What John said, fuck it. John, back to you.
This is why we got to keep the episodes under an hour. We get stupid when we run long. So. All right, well, that's it. Swell up, Deadites. We'll see you next week. Cheers.
Bird season's over, Butthorn.
They get 10 nights. Amateur hunters, python hunters, can go out into the Everglades and hunt Burmese. Geez, let me say that again. There we go. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you. We'll do it live. Fuck it.